All right. So today, this is going to be a little snippet from the Bigfoot Society Clubhouse room, Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're welcome to join along if you'd like. This week, we're going to be talking about how we can help the next generation of cryptozoologists. I have a few people in the room tonight. Nice to see you all. I'll start out sharing my idea first, and then when I'm done with mine, then we'll go to whoever wants to go next. And definitely before you share your idea, introduce who you are, and you're welcome to say a few things about yourself. In case the listeners don't know who you are, like if you have a podcast or anything that you'd like to share, that is perfectly fine. So my idea of how we can help the next generation of cryptozoologists is it's a pretty straightforward one, but the way I look at it is not to extinguish the curiosity. And what I mean by that is, like, sometimes my 5-year-old will come up to me and he'll be like, "Dad, does the Loch Ness Monster exist? Does Bigfoot exist, or does he not exist?" And instead of me saying definite no or definite yes, because I don't want to lead him a certain way, but I rather do a thing where it is, well, here's the evidence that some people have found. Maybe it is out there. Maybe we just haven't found it yet. Maybe you're the one to find it. And that always gets him really excited. So I think, especially with the younger kids that we might know, it's more getting them excited, telling them the stories, so that they get all pumped up and they start talking to their friends about it as well. So my main thing is not to shut down the questions if they come in from the little kids. Don't be like, I was at a festival once and we were we were doing a little walk around the trails of where the particular cryptid was seen, and these little kids were in the back and they were like, "Hey, we just found the footprints over here." And unfortunately, they were kind of like, "Hey, it's not footprint time. It's time to look around and see the mine and stuff like that." And like, looking back on that, that's actually not cool, because that was discouraging the next generation of people that wanted to go out and look for things. And spoiler alert, that was the Van Meter visitor, for all those who are wondering. But yeah, those are
I think we
that's
knew.
I think you figured it out. But that's my idea. Does anyone want to share next about what their ideas of how we can help the next generations of cryptozoologists?
I would love to go.
Go for it.
So I guess a brief introduction. My name is Kenzie. I am the host of the Crypto Chats podcast. You can find me on Instagram at CryptidBaddie. So my idea is, it's kind of similar, but it's more like exposure to all of it than anything. Like, I don't really know very many children. I don't have my own kids. I really just I have 2 nephews, and the oldest will be 4 this year. The youngest will be 1 this year. And the way I kind of see it is, like, I have a lot of tattoos. I have some cryptid tattoos. My oldest nephew thinks that they're the coolest thing he's ever seen. And for some reason, in his eyes, cryptids are superheroes. And I'm not really sure why. I think he's got a really big interest in Marvel, and he's very into superheroes. And I guess somewhere along the line, Iron Man and Spider-Man became the same thing as Mothman. So with my nephews, I try to talk to them about it. My youngest one obviously doesn't really know what I'm saying most of the time. But my almost 4-year-old nephew, he likes to sit down with me, and I like to read him stories about cryptids and like things like that. And he's so very interested in it. And it's kind of the only exposure he really has to it. But, every time we sit down and talk about it, I can kind of see that wonder kind of growing in his eyes. And that's kind of just really where I'm at, is just trying to, expose the children I do have in my life to this kind of stuff. That's really all I got.
That is awesome, Kenzie. And I mean, thank goodness for, I'll just put a plug in for it right now. Things like Mothman Learns the ABCs and books like that, where, these books, we can actually, they're fun for kids to read, and we can use that to show off different cryptids to kids as well, which is pretty cool. Um, who would like to be next?
Yeah, I'll hop in. So, real quick, my name is Keith Rollins, and I actually have three kids: a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a really fresh one. She'll be 3 weeks tomorrow. Um, so, I'm going to tell a real quick story about my oldest one. He's 6 years old, and about, I don't know, 6, 7 months ago, I was discussing with my wife. Just he's off to the side, not paying any attention to anything, or so I thought. And I was talking to my wife about some land that a buddy had inherited, and we were going to go out and kind of just scout around. It's down in southeast Oklahoma, so there's possibility what if it could be a good area for some Bigfoot. And I'm talking to my wife about it, and all of a sudden he just chimes in. He's like, "Dad, you can go hunting for Bigfoot if you want, but you're not going to find him because he's not real." And so instantly I'm like, "Oh, heartbroken. Oh, you're grounded." No, just kidding. But so I just like, "Well, why do you think that?" He's like, "Well, I just know." And so he's at the age, his mind's made up. I'm not going to be able to just be like, "Oh yeah, well, check out Bigfoot." He's, "Oh, I don't really care about Bigfoot." So one thing about kids is they're easy to get outdoors. It's easy to get them interested in being outside. And one way that I've really found to connect with him is we go camping, and he just loves being outside camping all the time. And I'd love your guys' input on this, but he loves Jurassic Park, all dinosaurs. And so one way I've kind of got him to start thinking about the creatures in the outdoors is relating the birds, to the dinosaurs, and just kind of expand and keep going on from that. But that's just kind of my little input. It's just kind of connect the things that they do really enjoy, and then if you can sprinkle in a little bit of mystery and kind of get them thinking about, hey, what if there is this, what if there are these things that we can be looking for out in the wild? It'd be really, really awesome. So that's my little spill.
Keith, I think that's really smart to take something that they already are interested in. Like most kids I know, they are interested in like dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and I think that's totally genius. So good idea on that, definitely. Who would like to share next?
I can go. So my name is Alexander Pedikov. I am a filmmaker and a cryptozoology researcher based out of New Hampshire. I've big outdoorsman, into hiking, all that sort of stuff. One thing that I think is a great way to connect with the younger folks is through media. I mean, whether we like it or not, everyone has a screen in their face these days. If you can create content that interests people about these subjects, perhaps it'll bring more people over. Unfortunately, our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter these days, and kids are no strangers to that. There's kids as young as 4 or 5 already know how to use iPads probably better than their parents, and even some other generations. So I think if we can create content that interests them in that sort of respect, I know a lot of people that are currently into cryptozoology, into Bigfoot, into whatever other cryptid, got into it because they watched something back in the day. I mean, I know for the older generations, it was things like In Search of and The Legend of Boggy Creek. For myself, it was Animal X, Monster Quest, even Finding Bigfoot to an extent. I know a lot of the kids that are in middle school and even getting into high school now, they grew up on Finding Bigfoot. That was sort of a show that really inspired them. So obviously, as media continues to change, we need to adapt. But I think creating shows that show a sense of wonder about the world, detailing the natural areas in which some of these cryptids can be found in, is very important. Almost that sort of nostalgia of Indiana Jones-like kind of feeling. I think that's really important, and a lot of kids can get behind that. And broader even than cryptozoology is getting them interested in the outdoors and hiking and backpacking, or just kind of exploring the woods. There may be cryptids lurking around. That's a fun way to get people doing healthy activities outdoors, which I think is just crucial for humans overall. But I do think that media plays a big role in that, and if we can portray that, and doesn't have to be necessarily just documentaries or films or TV shows. It can be media like we've talked about with books, and other forms as well. I think that's definitely something that can help with the next generation. I've seen it to a certain extent. I mean, even doing events and talking to younger people, and they'll always describe their favorite show or this documentary they saw, and kids are browsing the streaming apps now, and if we can get more content that's cryptozoology related on some of these various streaming platforms, that's a good way to get them hooked in on this sort of stuff as well. So yeah, that's just something I think as a filmmaker, one way we can work to get the next generation into it.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. And I mean, hats off, definitely to the content you're making for your Sasquatch the Shadows YouTube channel. Is very cool. I know we enjoy watching that as a family. Definitely helps broaden our horizons. So you're definitely making a difference with those cool videos you're putting up, man. Thank you. Who would like to actually? So I'm going to do a quick reset of the room, just for anyone who may have come in. We are currently recording for things that it may be used on YouTube, podcasts, etc. If there's anyone that you want to have come into the room, you can just hit the plus sign in the lower right hand corner, and then you can tap on that person's name or face, and it pings them into the room. Who would like to share next their idea?
I think it's just about like what both of you were saying, introducing your kids to it. They're going to be interested in what you're watching, and emphasize that it's their discernment that sort of defines what they believe. So watch a Bigfoot video, like a sighting video, and say like, well, what do you think? Like, what are the other possibilities here? Encourage them to be a little skeptical, because it gives you more of a scientific view. Once it's something interesting and something they can get their imagination around, I think they naturally get more into it. I mean, it's exposure, like Alex said. It's exposure. Make sure that it's not garbage content they're watching. Like Finding Bigfoot's an awesome show. Monster Quest. I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Just remember they're kids, and you want to encourage them to make their own decisions and not believe everything they hear.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. And if you've enjoyed what the things that Greg is saying, you can find Greg on Instagram at all.the.weird. He's a really cool dude, but I appreciate what he said. Where my kid has also at times been like, "Oh, I don't think Bigfoot's real." And it's like, well, that's cool. You have to make your own decisions, and kind of as Greg was saying, present. Here's stuff we can watch, and you can kind of like, make your own decisions, and yeah, just let them figure it out. But Crystal, I see you down in the audience. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are doing a recording of what we think about how to equip the next generation of cryptozoologists. And so this is being recorded for podcast and YouTube currently. But let's continue with who would like to share next.
I can go if you guys want me to.
Go ahead, Tate. And who are you, Tate? Why don't you go ahead and share who you are?
He's Tate. You just said it.
Yeah. My name's right there. That's who I am. I'm Tate Hieronymus, no relation to Bob Hieronymus. I host the Bluff Creek Project podcast. It has to be said.
I know it has to be said. It's for real.
It's not a joke. But anyway, coughing here. It's cool because there's a lot more movies coming out. You know, cartoon movies that if you want to kind of get them interested or expose them to Bigfoot, then you can kind of do it through movies. And there's like a couple good movies. One's called The Missing Link that just came out last year, I believe. That's really cool. And then a movie I grew up watching, still my favorite movie today, is a Goofy movie, and there's a Bigfoot in that movie too. So, you don't necessarily have to like throw them into like watching Finding Bigfoot or Monster Quest. Kind of do it more easily, if you will. So I think that's a good method to try approach.
I just remembered Harry and the Hendersons is a good family movie too.
Oh, totally.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about the one with John Lithgow?
Yes.
John Lithgow?
Yeah.
Okay. That scene in the movie when he has the Bigfoot in the house, it sees the deer on the wall. I think it punched through the wall and was feeling behind where the deer's supposed to be, and he got so mad. That scene was so funny.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to watch the Goofy movie again too. Forgot about the Bigfoot in that. Thank you, Tate. Jeff or Carter? Who would like to go next?
I can chat for a sec.
Awesome. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. I'm Jeff. I run the Strangeology podcast and Instagram page. So everyone's been saying some really great stuff so far. Not too quite sure what more I can add. But I have to think back to when I was a kid, getting into the subject of cryptozoology. I just remember always kind of going to the school library and just sitting down and pulling out books on Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and all this kind of stuff. And also very much watching all the old shows about cryptids. So I think, approaching the subject with the next generation of cryptozoologists, media is going to be definitely an important factor in it. And I guess, cultivating and encouraging curiosity in young folk is certainly important. And, there's always kind of a taboo subject about it because cryptozoology is, considered pseudoscience by most folk out there. But, try not to, let your kid feel weird about it, I think is good, but also, not necessarily pushing kids in a certain direction and letting them make their own choices and come to their own conclusions would be helpful tools to, help and mentor the younger generation out with. But I think, going back to media and stuff, I think books are certainly important. It might be nice to have, a couple books laying around the house for when kids get to that age where they're really starting to get interested in books and fantastical things. It might be cool, if you're a parent, you could, maybe buy a couple books and leave them around the house for them to kind of check out and get their imaginations going. I also think, as many of us are content creators, and Jeremiah, you had mentioned, Danner and Michael's new book, Mothman Learns the ABCs, new writings, new content, new activity books is always, there's so much stuff out there, just doing a quick Google search. There's books called like Cryptids for Kids and like the Armchair Hunter's Basic Guide for Cryptozoology, but there's always a plethora of things out there to get, and as creatives ourselves, we can certainly add to the massive amount of stuff that's out there and make some fun stuff too. So that's my piece.
Those are some awesome thoughts, Jeff. That actually reminded me of something. So it's super important to have books around the house, especially as your kids get a little bit older. Like, for example, one that we have specifically, because Mothman Learns the ABCs is still on its way to the house, but we have, if you know the Step Into Reading books, they're kind of like leveled readers. We actually have one called Looking for Bigfoot. It's level 4, but it actually gets pretty deep. It talks about like Dr. Grover Krantz and talks about the Patterson Gimlin film, and it's like, it's pretty solid. So if you're looking for one, you can look up Looking for Bigfoot by Bonnie Worth. It's a Step Into Reading book. It's pretty good stuff. Crystal, not to put you on the spot, but if you do have something to share, you're welcome to. You can raise your hand. I am going to have Carter go next as the last person on stage. So you're welcome to go ahead, Carter.
All right, sweet. So I'm Carter Reeves. I'm the host of Mysteries Obscure on YouTube and Instagram. And yeah, a lot of the stuff that I was going to talk about was covered previously. With the whole Mothman Learns the ABCs thing, I do believe that kids just needs to be in their peripheral. Like, we can't just, like, I guess not that any of you guys, but like hide it away just like in the background of their lives. I think a lot of the reason why I got into this stuff was because it was just like all around me whenever I was a kid. Like, you would see it, like Jeff said, like in the libraries, you would read books and you would see like TV shows, and just it would just spark an interest. And I think younger generations now just have to have a lot more of that opportunity to just have that in their sight. And yeah, I think a big part of that is just making content that is sort of for their age group, to get them, just spark their interest in it. I think that's a big thing. But yeah, that's about all I have. I think a lot of the topics were covered by you guys, but yeah.
Hey, just thanks, Carter. Just like to welcome Eli to the room. We are recording tonight, Eli, so you just need to be aware of that.
Yes, I will be very aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for getting that out there, Greg. Crystal, I saw that you raised your hand to come on up. Definitely, I believe you're already in here, but yeah, anything you share will be on the Bigfoot Society podcast YouTube. Go ahead and share your thoughts.
Yeah, so I am actually a first-timer here in this room, and a friend of mine, she invited me to it. I think she'll be on here in a little bit. So really, I am super interested in these topics. Feel free, if you guys want to treat me like a newbie, tell me everything from the beginning. Go, you know what I mean? But
Don't
I'm
wish
really
that
excited
upon
to hear
yourself.
more. But yes, I'm just really excited to listen in. So thank you guys.
Oh yeah, totally. So tonight specifically, we're just talking about ways we can help the next generation of cryptozoologists. But yeah, if you want to just hang out and listen with us, that is perfectly fine. Eli, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that as well.
About the future of cryptozoology or the future generation?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, or like what we can do to encourage kids, or things that you noticed as a young person.
Well, this is like PBS for kids.
Right.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it is about making it really engaging for a younger audience. I know it really seems like the generation I'm a part of, you know, with Alexander and maybe Carrick. He's not here tonight, but it seems like we're coming at this tail end of like the world before, you know, smart computers and smartphones. And I think there's been some scientific studies that say that our attention spans are shorter now because of the instant gratification we're able to retrieve from our phone. And so, I mean, I'm sorry, as much as I love reading, you know, old Ivan Sanderson books, I don't think that's the greatest way to reach out to the younger generation, which kind of sucks for me, but oh well. So I think it's all about updating it and kind of making it a little bit fresh and fun, and making it easily digestible, which I feel like is something that I'm trying to do with Cryptid Campfire, something I think you're trying to do, Jeremiah, with Bigfoot Society podcast. And I think a lot of us are really in that vein and doing a good job of trying to make it fun, trying to make it easily accessible for new people, and without getting, I guess, bogged down in old boring books, so to speak.
My kids love the Moth Boys. They're 13.
Oh, they
See,
listen
there
to
you
the
go.
Moth Boys. Nice.
Totally. Snack Cake Jake.
Never Mothboy Jake.
Oh man, that's so good, Greg. Hey, Nicolette, good to see you. Do you have anything to share on the topic on how we can help the next generation of cryptozoologists?
Hey guys, yeah, I think that just by doing, exactly what we're doing here, connecting with other, like-minded people and just normalizing the conversation around, the paranormal and, UFOs and cryptids. I think that there's a, particular, validation when you meet other people that, have the same interests, and it kind of gives other people the courage to say, I'm interested in this too.
Totally. I get that.
Totally agree. And this has been a really good discussion. I think there's a lot we can take from the discussion we've had tonight. I had a topic for next week, and it would be sharing your favorite figure in cryptozoological history and why.
Me.
Yeah, no, well, here you go, Tate. The way I'm going to define that is the figure is no longer with us, unfortunately. So they are a figure that has passed. So.
I do like that because I think I really like that actually.
Exactly, yeah. Because we're gonna have to dig into it. We're gonna have to, get some solid stuff to share, and also be reminded of, people that have gone before us, the guys in the field that led the way. So I think that'll be a very cool topic. But we can just hang out for a little bit if anyone would like to. Does anyone pumped for the Finding Bigfoot special that's coming on February 8th?
Totally.
I texted Cliff and I was like, I cannot wait to not watch it.
That's going to be on Discovery Plus, right?
It is going to be on Discovery Plus. I was like, how did
It'll
I
be
not
on
know
Animal
this?
Planet after.
Yeah,
Apparently, it's going to come out on Animal Planet after the Discovery Plus thing. But yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. My buddy Joe Purdue in West Virginia, he was on the episode, and I think he hooked him up with some stories, and he was telling me about it like a couple months ago, and it seems pretty cool. I'm really excited, and I'm hoping that it creates enough interest that we'll get another season, because I think there's going to be a lot of stuff potentially in the works there.
Expedition Bigfoot all the way.
Finding Bigfoot, gotta love it. Hey, is Joe Purdue, is he with Wild in West Virginia's?
Yes, that's him. Yeah,
nice.
Real nice guy, great West Virginia guy. A lot of good dudes in West Virginia. You got, the part of the Moth Boys are there. You got Les Odell, who's got his own cryptid YouTube. A lot of great people in that area. A lot of great stories. I mean, think of how many cryptids just aside from Bigfoot are in West Virginia. I mean, talk about iconic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I was on the very last episode of Finding Bigfoot. It was the when they returned to Willow Creek. So that was
that for that wasn't for the 50th, right? It was
it's like for the special, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It was the 50th. What happened was
it was before the actual celebration for the 50th.
I believe so. And it aired like way. Yeah, that's right. It was before the 50th, but they didn't air it for the 50th. They aired it like months after, which was kind of weird. I was like, what?